A couple of months ago I looked at the Z790 Aorus Pro X motherboard, a gorgeous white design, absolutely feature packed for Intel 14th Gen. One thing that I did hope though is that we're going to see something like that for AMD, and it's here. I'll tell you all about it after I quickly pay some bills for this video sponsor.
NZXT's new Kraken and Kraken Elite Aero cooler range uses their CAM software to customise their display. You can now add custom images and GIFs to the standard Kraken, plus if you wish add an infographic such as stats and temps of your PC. For the Kraken Elite you now have support for up to 60 FPS GIFs with a whopping 8,000 colours over the previous 256, and by some NZXT wizardry it also uses less of the CPU too. Magic. So if you have a Kraken or Kraken Elite in your PC then get updating, but if not, now there's even more reason to get your hands on one. Visit the link in the description box below to learn more.
This board seems to be a little bit harder to find. The most common one you'll find online is the Elite AXICE without the X in the middle, so just double check the one you're going to get. That one retails for about £250. I found this one for about £269. Nice. So it's not far off, and it has a lot of features that we saw on the Z790 counterpart. If I quickly show you the backs of them, you can actually see the boards are very similar in design as well. But of course we'll cover over all the features as we go. So very keen to see a AMD version of this, and it looks very nice. I did have a quick peek, taking some pictures for socials, and I've been looking forward to actually doing an unboxing. So here we have it. So a little bit of packing just to make sure it's not going to shift around in transit. Let's get the board out, put that to the side for the minute, see what we've got underneath. So we've got a little block for all your front panel stuff so it can go on in one chunk and make life a little bit easier. A couple of SATA cables, one of which is right angled, and then we have got a matching white antenna for the Wi-Fi 6E that's built in. So nice to see that they've colour matched it. We saw that with the Z790 as well. Bit of attention to details, always a good thing. That's it though for the accessories. Not really much to write home about in that regard. And here we go. The Elite X AXICE. So very similar layout to what we saw on the Z790, like I mentioned, with the back of the board. I'll actually put a picture on the screen so you can see a little comparison to the other one. If you're looking for the different boards, I mentioned there's the slightly cheaper AXICE rather than the X AXICE. One easy way to tell is that you've got the Aorus on the X version, whereas the other version has got a little bit of just a plainer side to it. So let's go around the board itself. Well, these VRMs, let's just touch on those quickly. This has a digital twin 12+2+2 phase power. We got our socket, of course, AM5, so we've got support for 7000 and 8000 series processors. There are a few limitations when you use an 8000 series processor, but that's down to the processor itself, not the board. I'll talk to you more about those when we get to them. So on the top left, we have got a 4+8 for power. The EPS connectors, these are solid pins as well. Going on to the right, we have got the first of our 4-pin headers. So we've got a CPU optional, CPU fan, and a system fan 1. We've got the first of our 5V addressable RGB. Nothing really at the top of the right hand side until we get to the 24-pin HDMI port on the side. We saw that on the last version and I couldn't figure out what it was for, so I put something on the screen to just clarify that, or in a pinned comment. We've got another 4-pin system fan header, that's number 4. Then we've got our USB 3.2 for our USB Type-C header. On the right angle we've got 4 standard 6 gigabit ports for any external drives you want to add. Then we've got a USB 3 header. Our battery down below that, and then we've got all of our front panel stuff. We've got an additional system fan. There's also a reset switch next to that. I did mention on the last version it would be nice to see a power button with these as well. We've got one, so it would be nice to have the power as well. We've got a couple of USB 2 headers, another system fan, which is number 2. So that's a total of 6 4-pin headers on this board. We've got an additional 2 5V addressable headers, so really feature packed if you want to use a lot of RGB on this board. You've also got a standard 12V on there as well. Got some little capacitors also on the left hand side as well. Then you've also got your front panel audio header just below. Let's go back up near our socket. We've got our DIMM slot, so this supports up to 192 gigabytes of 8000 megahertz memory. That will support Expo or DOCP, and if you want to obviously go any higher you will need to manually overclock it, but 8000 on a setting, you know, it should suffice for most people. These have got the nice little quick easy catch on like we saw on the Intel board. Got a thermal pad underneath there. That will take up to 110mm drive. There's also another quick release on that one as well, so it's nice and easy to put in. You can of course use a Gen 4 drive if you'd like to as well. So when installing that you can just push it down and it will clip in nice and easy. Below that, we have got a Gen 5 PCIe 16 slot as well. It's also reinforced, apparently 10 times stronger than a standard PCI slot. One of the benefits we're going AMD, you have got 24 lanes available, so you can get your Gen 5 drive and a Gen 5 graphics card, obviously when they're available, and then run them together without having to compromise the speeds of one of them. So that's a good thing to see. Now, I did mention a little bit of a limitation if you're going to use an 8000 series processor. One of them is the lack of Gen 5 support for drives. I don't think that really matters too much because Gen 4 is wicked fast, and it's, I think, the best price to performance at the moment anyway. So just one thing to note, you'll only be able to use up to a Gen 4 drive if you're going with an 8000 series CPU. So moving down the board, we've got another heatsink with an easy latch, so easy to take off and then just slides out to reveal your other NVMe slots. So we've got another two 110mm, these are Gen 4 drive slots here, again with the quick releases on as well, so it's super easy to install your drives. A couple of thermal pads on there as well, so make sure you take the backing off when you're installing drives in here. We have got an additional couple of PCIe slots below that. They look like they're only wired to X1 speeds though, but they are handy to have if you want to use something like a capture card that uses just an X1 interface. It can fit into there, no problem. So if you want to use a capture card or a sound card and things like that, you can easily do that there. So putting that cover back on, just pushes in and then clips down, super easy. I love installing stuff into a Gigabyte board. You don't have to use any screws at all. Really nice. Quick look at the back, just a bit of simple silk screening, nothing too fancy, which I think is good. A lot of companies do spend a lot of time on the back, which I think is a bit pointless considering you're going to install it in your case and never see it anyway, unless you're going to make some custom kind of mount that is see-through, for example. So it's obviously saving money, and nice to see they've not gone over the top with it. So last but not least, we've got the rear I/O. Here's the Q flash button, so we can easily flash to BIOS. One of these USBs will match the, there we go. So the bottom right one there is the one you're going to plug your USB in for that. We've got our antenna points for our Wi-Fi 6E antenna. We've got 4 USB 2 ports. We've got an HDMI port, so if you want to do any troubleshooting, if you've got an 8000 series processor, for example, you can plug it straight into there. We've got a USB Type-C port. This will be USB 3.2 Gen 2. The 5 blue USB ports, these are USB 3.2 Gen 1. And then we've got 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2x2 ports, so these are full speed 20 gig. Then we've also got a 2.5 gig LAN and then some simple audio. Very glad to see this board. I was hoping we'd see an AMD version of the whiteboard when we looked at the last one for the Intel 14th Gen, so it's nice to see that we have this one. Then also there's the AX as well if you want something a little bit cheaper than this one, but we do have the Gen 5 support for PCIe and also M.2 on this, so that's the benefit of our AMD as well. We've got the 24 lanes, so you don't have to sacrifice the speeds of one or the other. So I will be doing a build with this as well, so stay tuned, get subscribed, ding the bell so you don't miss that. Obviously going to have to do another all white build, so I'm really looking forward to doing that. Big thank you to Aorus for sending this out for me to look at. Links will be in the description box if you want to pick one up. Any more comments, let me know and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.